So, in the previous session, we reviewed product rules at a very high level. So, in this session, we will dive into our Salesforce org and build out the first type of rule, which is an alert. So, I want to provide a potential use case for our bento box scenarios. So, let's say your sales reps they're selling particular products to schools. And the business rule is they want to let the customer know that certain selections contain a high amount of fat in it. So, for example, let's say the octopus hot dogs may contain a lot of fat. And so they want the sales reps to communicate this to the customer because school lunches should be healthy and they want to make sure they provide them the most accurate information. So, we don't necessarily want to stop the sales reps from selling octopus hot dogs in a bundle, but we just want to display it on the screen so that the sales reps can communicate that to the customer and the customer can decide if they want to proceed. So, moving on to our org, the first thing we need to do is go to product rules and app launcher. Click on new. So I've given it a descriptive name so that admins can know exactly what this rule is doing if they were to go to the list of product rules. So the octopus hot dogs contains 30 grams of fat. And then we want to make it active. Then we have our types. So these are the types that we reviewed in the previous session. Validation, selection, alert, and filter. So again, we are just wanting to alert the sales rep. So we'll click on alert. We also want to add an error message, and this is the message that will display to the sales reps on the screen. So you have to have an error message in order to set up an alert. So now we have a decision to make as far as the scope. When should this rule fire? Should it fire on this screen after the sales reps has added products, or do we want it to display on this particular screen when they go in and let's say they select premium bundle and they make their selection? Do we want this error message to show up when they make the selection, or do we want the error message to come up after they've clicked save and now they're on another page? So in this situation, it makes the most sense to have it appear when they're actually configuring the bundle and adding the product, because you don't want them to go out of the screen and have to come back out to make that change. So going back here, we don't want it to be on the quote. Okay, we want it to be on the product, and product just means the product selection screen. The quote means the quote line editor, and this screen here, the quote line editor. So we have the scope on the product. We want to talk about the evaluation event. So when do you want it to fire? Do you want it to fire on whenever the screen loads, whenever the sales reps make an edit, when they click save, on the product selection screen, or always? In this case, we'll have it as always, and we'll set up some conditions to determine exactly when it should fire. So it's just if you want an or statement and an and statement, then you want to use advanced conditions. So here, conditions met. So this is a mandatory field. So you have all, any, and custom. So like I said, if you selected all, if you just wanted it to fire, let's say if the product was hot dogs and the region was on the East Coast, then you can select all. So an any statement is or. So if the product is hot dogs, octopus hot dogs, or if the quote is on the East Coast, you can use or. And so the custom selection here, this is when you have to enter in that advanced formula like I mentioned. So if it's an and or statement, you would need to type it in here. But for now, we're going to keep it simple. We'll keep it on all. The evaluation order. So this will come into play depending on how many product rules you have in the system. So sometimes you may want one to fire before the other. This field allows you to determine what order it should fire. So this is our first rule. So I'll enter in 10. And so right now it'll just fire, it'll fire first. So this is all we need on the initial record. We'll click save. But if we didn't do anything right now, it would fire all the time. It won't just fire if we have octopus hot dogs. So we need to set a condition. So going to the related list, and this is the index. So this is our first error condition. So you would enter in 10. So you know how I mentioned on our advanced condition, if we did have an advanced condition, you would enter in 10 and 20 if you had multiple conditions. And then you could enter an and parentheses 30 or 40. And this is what your advanced conditions would look like. This is only needed if you had a complex scenario. So I only say this to mention that you need your index on your condition, and then you would use that in your advanced condition. So this comes up on the Salesforce CPQ exam. So in order to put in an advanced condition, your index on your error condition determines that. So I'll add in 10 for now. So what object should it target? What object do we want to look at to see if it turns true for this rule to fire? You have to think about what's being asked. We want this to fire when a product on a bundle is selected. So not on the entire quote, we want it on a product of a bundle. And as you can recall, what connects the product to a bundle? It's the product option. So in this case, we want to select the product option. So if I were to go, we want this to be applied to the premium bento box. So if I were to go here, go to our related list, we have our list of options. So let's click on view all. And as you can recall, octopus hot dogs is a product, but we're using the option as the junction object. So if I click on the option of the octopus hot dogs, now we're at the record where we can start to find some data that we can look at to see if it returns true. And a great field is product code. So as you can recall, when we set up these products, so for octopus hot dogs, let me show you here. So when we set up the octopus hot dogs, we gave it a product code of Octo01. Salesforce automatically copies this value of this product to its product option. I didn't do any automation to populate this at all. So we can use this on the product option. So going back to my error condition, I want it to only fire when I've added the product option of octopus hot dogs. So again, the target object is the product option. The field is product code. Okay, if you don't see it in your org that you're implementing for a client, you always have to go into Object Manager, error conditions, tested field, and add product code as a field for it to evaluate. And so we want it to evaluate when it equals a value of the actual product code, Octo01. So this is our condition. We only have one condition at which it should fire, but there's one more step when you have a product rule. Well, we've told it to fire when it based off of this product option, but we need to also tell it what bundle should this be applied to. And as you can recall, we said that this is going to be applied to the premium bundle. So let's go back. So we wanted it to be applied to the premium bento box bundle. So whenever a user selects this bundle and they select this child product, which is linked to this option, then we want the rule to fire. So in order to make this association, there is what's called a configuration rule. That's a related object here to this product rule. So you'll click on you'll click on new. Let me zoom in a little bit. This is a related object to this product rule. Always click on active. I make that mistake a lot, forgetting to activate it, right? Always click on active or else your rule won't fire. So now what product does this need to be applied to? Again, the bundle product. We've already associated that it should fire when the octopus hot dogs is selected, but we need to associate it with the bundle, which is this one here. And that's all we need. So we're all set. So now we just need to give it a try. So I'm going to cancel out of this quote, go back into edit lines. And what I want to do is add products. We have a filter here. So I want to I want to clear, clicking on the filter, clicking clear all fields, click apply. I want to get to the premium bento bundle. So if I click select, so here we have our octopus hot dogs. So we want to select it. And then as you can see here, we're required to select at least one fruit. So let's select this so we don't get an error, and we're required to select one starch. So if I click save, we get an error message, but it's an alert. It won't prevent the user from saving. So if they wanted to now at this point communicate to the customer, oh, you wanted octopus hot dogs, wanted to let you know that there's 30 grams of fat. Is that okay? Well, the customer may say, no, I don't want the octopus hot dog. So let me unselect it and let me select the face shaped chicken. And if I click save, it allows them to proceed and add the product. So let me delete this and delete this product and go back to add the product again. But I want to add I want to show what will happen if I select the premium bundle, selecting the octopus hot dogs and the starch. So we talked about what happens if they wanted to cancel out of it and make a new selection. So now if they've read this disclaimer and they said, yeah, that's okay, we're okay with that percentage of fat, they'll just press continue and it allows them to bypass it. And now they can add this product as they would like. So again, we've reviewed product rules with the validation type as alert.